Hello and welcome. Today we're going to dive into a really fascinating framework for, well, basically for surviving and even thriving in our super public, super digital world.
So let me ask you something. Have you ever typed out a comment, a post, and then just deleted it? Or, hesitated to share something you really believe in because you're worried about saying the wrong thing online? That feeling of walking on eggshells, terrified of this huge wave of public shaming for one little misstep? Yeah, it's an anxiety a lot of us know all too well.
Well, this fear actually has a name. It's called social death. And it's that intense, just gut-wrenching dread of being publicly canceled, for an old tweet or maybe a clumsy comment, and then suddenly losing everything, your social life, your professional standing. It's basically the modern-day version of being exiled from your tribe. So what does this constant fear actually do to us on a psychological level? Turns out, it fundamentally changes how we show up in the world.
According to the model we're looking at, this isn't just your everyday stress. It can actually become a specific kind of reputational trauma. And that's the psychological damage that comes from living under this constant, low-grade fear of public humiliation.
And this trauma, it creates something called the performative self. This is that carefully polished, perfectly curated version of you that you present online. I mean, think about it. Maybe you publicly praise a movie you secretly thought was kind of boring, just because it seems like everyone else loves it. That is the performative self. It's a version of you that's designed to be agreeable, to be non-controversial, all just to avoid attracting any negative attention. Your true, authentic self kind of has to take a back seat to just being safe.
And I love this quote from Albert Tan, who created this whole framework. The metaphor is just perfect. He says, "Don't put all your self-worth stocks in the digital exchange." I mean, if your entire sense of who you are is invested in the crazy, volatile stock market of online opinion, you are absolutely setting yourself up for a crash. But there is a way to protect yourself from that crash, and that brings us to this therapeutic model designed specifically for this very modern problem: reputation resilience training, or RRT for short.
The goal of RRT is pretty straightforward. It's to help heal that inauthentic, performative self and to directly fight back against that paralyzing fear of public shaming. It's all about building an inner strength that just doesn't depend on likes or shares or what other people think.
So how does this actually work? Well, RRT gives us a toolkit with 3 core techniques that are designed to build up this mental and emotional resilience. Let's break them down.
Okay, the 3 pillars are deconstructing the catastrophe, diversifying your identity, and making what's called the authenticity wager. Let's start with that first one.
Our minds, they're fantastic at imagining the absolute worst-case scenario. I'm talking total annihilation. You make one controversial post and suddenly you're picturing losing your job, your friends, literally everything. This technique forces you to challenge that. It makes you get really specific. Okay, what would realistically happen? Maybe a few people unfollow you. Maybe you have a tough conversation. But total ruin? It's almost never as catastrophic as our fear tells us it's going to be. The whole point here is separating that imagined disaster from the actual likely reality. And this one goes right back to that self-worth stocks quote we saw earlier. It's brilliant. If your identity is 100% digital, it is incredibly fragile. So the goal here is to create offline anchors, to ground your self-worth in your family, your close friends, your hobbies, your local community. The people and things that are completely immune to some online mob. They know the real you, not just that performative one.
All right, and this last one, this is the action step. The authenticity wager is almost like a form of exposure therapy. It's all about taking small, totally manageable risks to prove to yourself that you can handle a little disagreement. So, for instance, maybe you start by just respectfully saying in a group chat, "You know what, I actually didn't love that TV show finale that everyone's raving about." It's a small act of controversial honesty. And every time you do that and you realize, hey, I survived, you build up your tolerance. You're proving to your own nervous system that disagreement does not equal social death.
So when you put all 3 of these techniques together, what's the end game? What's the ultimate goal? It's not just about becoming resilient or tough. No, it's about achieving something way more powerful. The goal is something called reputational antifragility. And this is a really key concept. See, something that's fragile, it breaks under stress. Something that's resilient just withstands stress. But something that's anti-fragile, it actually gets stronger from stress and challenges. The whole point is to get to a place where you can speak and act authentically, not because you're trying to be aggressive, but just out of pure confidence, knowing that any pushback you get will ultimately make you stronger, not break. And that really just leaves us with one last powerful thought to chew on. If you could really quiet that fear of the digital mob, if you could heal that performative self and stand on a really firm foundation of your own values, what would you say? What would you create? What would you do if you truly weren't afraid?